it's very hard for people to figure out what to do. Saying, oh, but now it's a more crowded field. But guess what? There's more demand. So there's more demand than there is supply, economics, right? So that means you can fill in that gap. And here to teach us how to do that step by step is Francesca. Francesca, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Leigh. It's such an honor and pleasure to be here. I love what you're doing with the show. Thank you for having me.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. You're so young. Now what you do is you take women who have a lot of creativity and are bursting at the seams and motivated and ready to go, and you walk them through to make them awesome and make them successful in the spiritual and financial world. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love how you said that. Yeah.
So, okay. So now we're going to start with step number one. And step number one is so what I understand is like if somebody was like a let me just say a baker, and they always baked and they made little cupcakes for every party, and their friend is having a party and their birthday party and their kid and whatever. But they've always baking little things with things on it. I'm just using an example. But they like to make money on that. That is pretty clear what they should do. But what if somebody is kind of like, well, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I don't, and I tried this and I went to that and nothing really works. So how does a person, first of all, narrow it down and figure out who am I and what contribution can I make to the world? You had said something to me yesterday, maybe you say it, something about if you never have to work if you love what you do. I don't know. So how did you say it?
If you love what you do, you don't have to work a day in your life.
There you go. So how does a person find that? That's the first question.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I just want to put it out there that we've been sort of the artists and creatives have been struggling with this and figuring out the path. And now the mainstream workforce has sort of joined our life here online. So I'm happy to be sharing the tools that we have strategized and come up with over the years. So if anyone, you said it, take a list, a piece of paper, and make a list of all the things you love doing. And it could be the silly little things, or it could be, what do other people say you're good at? And then, so it could be anything. It could be organizing. It could be writing. It could be criticizing, negotiating. Any skills that pop into your head, just write them down, and then sort of brainstorming from there, cutting it down to what can be done from that. So that's definitely the first thing.
So you're saying just like go, does anything have to be based in reality? Like, in other words, I want to be a pilot. Well, I don't have training. I don't have, whatever. I want to be a therapist. I want to be, whatever kind of thing somebody wants to do. How much basis in reality, or is this pie in the sky? Obviously, I guess if it's pie in the sky, there's going to be a longer uptake or whatever, you know what I mean? Sarit, where's Sarit? Oh, she had to get off to do the Instagram. Oh, she's my other half of my brain when I can't remember a word. But so the thing is that if somebody doesn't have those training, the particular training for what they want to do, that just pushes out the time frame to get their dreams to be true, or yeah.
Well, we're getting down to basics here. We're talking about people who are literally trying to make a quick buck or put food on the table this week, right? So think of skills, not necessarily dream jobs, but skills that you're good at. Are you great at writing or editing? Are you good at translating? Are you good at design? Are you the skills, not necessarily jobs, but skills that you're good at. And then we turn them into jobs.
You mean first start with skills. First start with things that are skills that you have that you also like, hopefully. I mean, where does that, it's a balance between what's financial, like what if you like, picking grass out of the, cutting grass by hand or something, whatever, manicuring your lawn, it has to be something that's financially somebody would want to do.
Well, with brainstorming, yeah, the way to brainstorm is really any idea that comes into your head goes on that list, and then hopefully you have a really big list, and then you cut it down to the things that actually can serve you.
Right.
So you have to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere. Here's the other thing is that I know a lot of people who found their career because their sister told them, oh, you're really good at this. And they're like, I am? Like, really? I am? I'm like, yeah, like we'll walk into a restaurant and you'll say, oh, they should do this, they should do that. Oh my goodness, that, whatever. And so when you write up everything that you can think of in your head and dreams and, fantasies, or you saw this person or you read a book or something or an article, someone did this and whatever, boy, I'd love to be an organizer. Boy, I'd love to, help somebody redo their wardrobe or whatever kinds of things you've seen other people do. Get as much as you can, but then turn to people who believe in you and who know you, who can help add to that list before you're narrowing it down. And you can let them know, listen, I'm just doing this as a brainstorming session with you. I want to get as many ideas as possible. Don't be upset if I don't pick the one you think I should go into. This is all a process, and they'll be totally, hopefully good with that, unless they're not a giving, loving person, and then maybe don't ask them. Okay, so that's step number one, is just you're saying brainstorm as many ideas, and then you get a big fat list. Do you start narrowing it down yet, or do you do homework first, research?
So then we would definitely narrow down to the things you love and you're good at, meaning somebody else says you're good at it and you also have a passion for it. Meaning if you're really good at something, but it makes you miserable, I would say maybe cross that off the list. But, use your brain.
Maybe they don't have a brain, like maybe they have 6 kids at home right now and their brain is gone out to lunch. Okay, fine. Now the next question is, do you have some examples examples of different types of things that they could do, and maybe a story or two of some of the people you coach and what kinds of things they've done?
Yeah, absolutely. So things just fall into the categories usually of services and products. And right now, a lot of things are going into the service industry. So anything you know how to do, how can you teach somebody else how to do that? Or how can you provide an experience for someone else that they cannot have on their own? So that's really the two options right now. Because we could either give somebody an experience, for example, create a class or a performance or a training or whatever other experience that you could think of, which I'll talk more to later, or you can be teaching skills, such as language, instruments. Let's talk. Another cool thing, you just said people don't have brains right now, right? So let's say somebody says, Zoom, we're going to make Shabbos in 2 hours. This is the menu. Sign up. We're doing it all together. That's the cost. So that's a way where you could help people, and you're providing a service in an experience and in a training form, because you cannot literally make Shabbos for them right now and deliver it, if that's what your normal business model would be, or you would want that to be.
You mean, in other words, that might be the model eventually, but right now, just to get cash on the table, teach it as a class. Am I following?
Yeah. Everything has to be in a way of providing an experience through Zoom, Skype, or Instagram right now, or through a phone, unless you're delivering something, which we haven't spoken about yet. But yeah, let's say you are you like designing things or creating things or things. You know what? Now there's a new product on the market that hasn't been a part of the fashion industry yet, masks, and people need masks, and people don't want to wear the same masks anymore. So maybe it's time you create a face mask line, and that match different clothing or your headband.
And has a zipper for you so you can drink something, right?
You could also get hijabs if you want. But they have already thought of that. But I'm saying there are new opportunities now. Think of things you like to do and how you could match demand with supply right now. And those you could literally ship. So that's a completely new product, hypothetically, that can be brought to market. And
so you're saying that the first stage we're looking at here is the brainstorming phase, from my understanding, right? Yeah. Just trying to figure out what you like to do, what your skills are, what matches things that are needed in the world. A person also would have to sit there and think, am I better off as a service provider or a product provider? Meaning a service, if you're an outgoing person and you worked as customer service so you already know how to do that, or you were a receptionist, or you were a lawyer that wants to do something, be a stay-at-home mom now or something like that, but you're really good on the phone. So whatever your skill set is, you kind of have to decide whether you are doing a service job or a product, and which one financially, is there any different, like, is it more lucrative to go the service route? Is it more lucrative to go to the products route, or would you see them as depends on what the product is and what the service is?
So it does depend, but it's definitely service. With service, you're offering time. With product, there's always something else. So unless you have a factory in your backyard or you're selling one item of something, but it's $50,000 or $10,000 per item, then I would say service is definitely more lucrative, but you will have to give up your time and you might not have any time. So you have to,
Interesting, but because a product, once you have that thing all set up, isn't that making money while you sleep?
That's passive income. That's a service in a package that's in passive income. So I was talking something physically delivering something to people because of social distancing. But yeah.
I was thinking Amazon. In other words, if you start these masks and you get a factory to manufacture them, then you go sit on the couch, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching all day long, right?
It could take a few months to put all the pieces together for that to happen. But yeah.
Okay. So everyone has to weigh all these different variables up, and okay, let's go to the next step.
This is so complicated. There's so many more simple steps that can be taken where that could result into income immediately.
Okay, like what?
So let's say you're offering a service. So that's the easiest way to set up shop, like immediately. You don't have to invent a product, create it, and send it to Amazon and go to the post office every day. You can decide. So there's this awesome platform I love called Fiverr. And right now they added a few more categories, but it's basically outsourcing, connecting service providers with people who need those services. So it could be anything from writing, copy, web design, marketing, audio work, video editing, language learning, instrument learning, and so much more. And people are just making up things as they're going along. So I was just looking for Hebrew lessons the other day because I'm like, we're sitting at home, let's start working on new skills. There's somebody posted, talk to my 6-year-old daughter in Hebrew for a half an hour. And, that's $10 right there, or 20, whatever it costs. So be creative. You could literally go there, create a service or an experience you want to offer people, and you could start earning money right away.
It probably is a good place for them to go to poke around and see what are other people doing, and what are the popular ones, what are the ones that are featured that, are. Now, it's called Fiverr. So doesn't that mean it only can be $5?
Yeah. So a lot of the basic things, people offer a $5 standard something, but I think that's how they started originally. Now there are offers that start at $50, and then they have a standard and then a premium package. Then they have Fiverr Pro. Their offers there in the thousands. So it's really
right. And also the other thing is, I think what someone told me they do logos, and I said for $5. They said it's $5 for first go, first whatever, and then every revision is another $5 or whatever, something like that. So they end up making like $75, she said, on each logo. So she gets a lead that comes in at $5, but by the time they go back and forth, and she also does their letterhead and she does their business cards and whatever, it turns into decent money. I think she said she was making like $35 or something like that an hour doing it from Fiverr. So, but you have to, it's a fun place to poke around. As you're doing your research and as you're writing your own things down, you might go to Fiverr and see, oh, here's a whole category I didn't even think of, like, being a listening ear. Is this something, being a listening ear when someone's going through trouble? Maybe that's a therapist. Maybe forget it. Forget I said that, because maybe you'll get some weirdo who, excuse me, you have to have somebody who's standing solid on the ground before they start telling you what to do. But anyway, whatever. As you're looking through, you might see categories that you never thought of or heard of. So that'd be a part of the research. That's terrific. What is another example? Some more examples of what types of jobs? I mean, people can find it on Fiverr, but I would just love to hear from you now. Just types of things that people are doing.
Yeah, so you could set up a website. You can hire someone. So you were talking about Fiverr specifically, because I just came up with an idea that I shared. if you are an interior designer or you are a handyman or you know how to do handyman work, people are home now looking at the eyesores that they've been pushing off because they're busy at work all day. Now they're home staring at that, hole in the wall or that shelf they never put up or whatever else. They're home, they're ready to get their tools and learn how to put that up. So maybe you can be the person who's going to guide them through it or redecorate their house.
DIY, help them to DIY, do it themselves. DIY is do it yourself for people who may not know. DIY. So they would go and they would hire you for $25 an hour or $50 or $100 an hour, $200 an hour. I don't know what these things are. So they would hire you and you would walk them through, like instead of going into their house and designing for them, because you can't leave the house because who's going to watch the kids or whatever, or you can't leave the house anyway. So you could do a Zoom call with them or a FaceTime and have them walk around and say, no, that pillow looks terrible. It doesn't match the curtains. The curtains are 100 years old. You need new curtains. Here's some links on Amazon for you to look at new curtains. And here, like that. You could be a designer purely online.
Yeah.
A remote designer. Oh, I like it. Very, very interesting. Okay, let's go on to the next step. So that's basically them narrowing it down, figuring out from themselves what their heart passion is, finding something they love doing. First step is writing as many things as possible, getting your friends or family members to input as many things as possible, looking at Fiverr, getting more ideas, and then narrowing it down. And let's say they come up with 2 or 3 things they love doing. Maybe then they narrow it from there, see what the market is. Oh, there's 1 million people doing this. There's nobody doing that. And then they go there. Got that so far. Okay. What's the next step?
Okay. Next step, start creating your offer. Figure out what that is, how you want to package it. You might want to create 3 different things, call it something else, see which one sells the best, or it could be the same service or it could be 3 different services. Try it out, put the bait out, see what's going to go. And you could use Facebook groups, you could use Nextdoor, these community local newsletters, they're shul newsletters, and there's so many communities depending on what you're doing and who you're trying to service. You could create your own Facebook group and invite people on based on that interest. So you have to find your online platform where you're going to advertise what you do, where you're going to gather your market, your audience.
So a lot of people aren't social media savvy in terms of, even making their own website. Maybe they go on Fiverr and get somebody. Maybe actually we have viewers and you can cross-pollinate and you can make her website and give you her design services or whatever. But the issue is that what's the least barrier to entry where they don't have to figure out how to market on Facebook, where they don't have to figure out how to make a website and all that. I mean, could they just make a flyer and send it out by email or post it in the local market? What's the lowest, tech savvy thing that people can do at this time?
Yeah, absolutely. Websites are unnecessary unless you are trying to build a large business. And right now it's enough to post on Facebook. And I'm assuming you already have Facebook because you're watching this, or Instagram. Okay. And you can post on your timeline, just offering X, Y, and Z. I'm offering to teach your teenagers guitar twice a week or something like that, and then see what happens. You could also search for your local groups on Facebook. For example, you live in Flatbush, you write Flatbush local community group or whatever else comes up. I know there are Baltimomies, and many of you are already in groups. So you post in the groups that seem relevant to what you're doing.
And you can ask them, please pass it along. If you have other groups, I'm really trying to, I'm trying to survive like everybody else. This is a new income stream for us, and please help me out if you can. I mean, people are trying to help people right now. I had a woman who called me and she was asking, she saw that we have a website and we have the Facebook and the Instagram. We've got the big social media presence because I've hired all these millennials who come around and whatever. But anyway, so she wanted to know how to do it, and so she was talking about her website, and I started giving her little tips on how we unfolded that and how we made that work in our Facebook. And I said, "Can I just ask you a question?" I said, "You're a consultant to companies." I said, how did you get the clients that you have now? You have about 20 clients. How did you get them? So I don't know. I guess they came through the web, through the email. Anyway, she traced it. I had her go down and write all her clients she's ever had, and down, and then to the right of that, write down where they came from. And you know where they all came from? Conferences. She went to a corporate conferences and, met people and shook their hands and met them individually. That's where 100% of her business came from. Meanwhile, she hired a web designing company for thousands of dollars, and she's trying to make her Facebook page and, get the right camera angles and whatever. And she gets no business from that right now. I said, for all the time, effort, and stress you're putting into that, better off to book one more conference with the intent of handing out as many business cards as possible. And that's what she did. She did end up doing a website anyway because she had already paid for it, but no business has come from there. In the last year, I don't think she got one client from that. It's all, so you have to look at what is actually going to work. Don't make yourself crazy trying to get the right design and the right website and the right whatever. That may not be the source of your business. It could just be, as Franciska is saying, that, it's from your local neighborhood, from people, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to do an international, website and make money while I sleep, which is everybody's fantasy, but it could just be simply that. Okay, what's next? What's next on the step?
So always just start with what you have. Start with the people in front of you and focus on building relationships with in front of you. Okay, after this is you package your offer, you create it, you put it out there, and then hopefully you start making money right away. And if not, then you look around, tweak, maybe receive some feedback from people. And I think that's a great path to setting up shop, to immediately start bringing. Now, this is short term, this can be long term, but this is get something out there that's quick and that will get you immediate results. And again, if it doesn't, then go to the next thing on your list and try that. Just until you find it, keep trying different things.
I see. Tell us a little bit about branding, because for instance, if I as a consumer got an email, or a text that was like 2 sentences long, hey, I can help you design your, interior design from home, do it yourself. You can save a fortune of money and have your house look great. You just send me some snapshots and I'll give you a critique. But I got a little text with that. I would think, okay, with a little phone number. Whereas if somebody sent me a flyer that was gorgeous, like I wanted my house to look like the flyer that was sent to me because this person's really got their act together. It looks professional. It's beautiful. So this is a branding issue in terms of people's perception of you. If you are trying to sell yourself and sell your services or whatever, how it looks to them is going to make a big difference. So how do you go about it? How can people do that on the cheap?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the cheapest way to do something is try to see what other people are doing in your field or what appeals to you. What do you need to see for you to sign up or be sold for something? And then try to copy that in a way that works with what you're doing.
Great. So you're saying just find a flyer or a post or something on the internet or from a friend or something that was posted to you, send it to a Fiverr designer for $5 and say, can you change this, but change the wording, I wanted to say this instead of blue, I want it to be green, and like that. You're just saying tweak somebody else's is probably the fastest way to make that happen?
Potentially, yeah. And there is a website called Canva, and I'm sure there are others like it, where they have templates and you just change the text yourself, and they're professionally designed and they're free. They have upgraded versions also, but you can create your own flyers. Yeah.
So if people have designed, that's a fun thing to do till 2 a.m. But if you don't have those kind of skills or don't want to learn those kind of skills, because how to move the mouse and whatever.
Right, for sure.
What did you say that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, so then would you suggest they do something like Canva? Because I happen to feel that even if you're starting something very simple, if you want to get money for it, instead of, saying, oh, I'll do this in $10 an hour or whatever, but you want it to look really professional and where you can charge, double that or triple that or whatever. I think that the image people have that you're a pro shop makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's next? So you're saying Did we get through all the steps?
I think we did.
We did?
But
Okay.
you had other steps, but they weren't steps to the process. They're just the continuation of this conversation.
Okay, so let's hear some of them.
Definitely post in as many places as you can. So create a Fiverr account, post 5 different gigs there, even if it's doing sort of the same thing, because one might appeal to somebody and they might not understand that that's what you're offering with another gig that's literally
Explain
exactly
what you mean.
the same.
I'm not sure I'm following.
So
Give
for
an
example,
yeah.
let's say, well, back to music. You want to record a song, or you want somebody to create a song for you. There could be record a song, there could be produce a song, there could be mix a song, there could be redo your demo or whatever it is. So people might be searching for different words, and based on that, they could find you. So maybe create a few offers, a few different gigs, even if you're doing one thing. And then also do a post on Facebook, also send it to your email list on your local shul listing.
Okay, so now when you're saying, does Fiverr charge you every time you post something?
No, they take a percentage. There's a processing fee with every transaction. That's all.
Oh, I see. So you can post as many things as you want, and you're only paying them if you make money.
Yes.
Which is great. Okay, fine. Now, let's say you post 5 things on Fiverr, you post on Facebook, and you get 9 people who called you and are interested in your services. How do you manage that aspect of it? I mean, that we should all have that.
Amen. Okay, so you create a calendar. You could have a remote calendar. You could have a calendar in, a physical one, or better online if you're tech savvy enough to have their Calendly. There are all kinds of online calendars.
Appointment. Even Google has a good calendar.
Yeah, and you create your availabilities. You share your calendar with your potential client and based on your availability. So that's a very time efficient way to schedule something based on your availabilities and their availabilities. A lot of them take into differences with different time zones, and
they send
sure
reminders, which is really fantastic.
Send reminders. Yeah, it goes into their Google calendar and goes into your Google calendar as well. Is that not where you're asking more? Fiverr takes care of your payment. If you're doing something on your own, you could set up PayPal. You could create PayPal invoices. You could send money through Venmo, Zelle, Cash App. It protects you in terms of providing the service because the customer has to pay up front. Fiverr holds it. Once the customer is happy with the service, then Fiverr releases the money to the service provider.
That's good. This is all seeming very like, first I got to make a flyer. Then first I got to think about what it is I want to do. Then I got to make
you don't need. You just put up a picture with Fiverr. You just put up a picture. You write a caption, a title, and that's it. It's super simple. So you don't have to do flyers. Just post on Facebook. I'm offering guitar lessons. I'm offering cooking classes. I'm offering remote interior design, and then post it in as many groups as you can. If you can create a flyer, great. If not, not. But you can get a client from posting one sentence on Facebook. It can happen.
That's fantastic. Yeah. For what kind of price points now are how do you know how much to charge for a service that you just dreamed up?
Well, pretty much everything exists out there already in Chadash Tachat HaShemesh. So you can check out what other people are doing. And you can try to copy that. You can try to be competitive and do it a little cheaper or offer a deal just so you can get started. I specialize in helping creatives one-on-one to create high-end offers with very well-paying clients to support a lifestyle that allows you to provide the best support you can for clients to really build something big, impactful. And that takes time and investment. It's not something you set up in 5 minutes, like a Fiverr gig. That could totally bring in money as well.
So what do you mean a high end? I'm not following. So say, I didn't follow exactly what you meant.
Okay, so you can paper, for example, right? how do the owners of toilet paper make a lot of money? Because they're selling a lot of toilet paper to a lot of people. Now, if you are one person with 24 hours in a day, and right now all you have is 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day, if all you need to make your income and you only have 2 hours, then you want, your 4 clients that month to fill up those 4 hours a week or whatever your service looks like, then you're charging a lot of money for that 1 hour. So that's creating high-end offers, something that's very
that's
valuable.
What you mean by a high-end offer is something that's in demand, a smaller demand, but the people who want it really want it.
Yes.
Okay. And so what you do is you take people and help them to create that service for other people.
Yes.
I see.
So it's essentially this Fiverr situation, just on a much higher scale, and it's not necessarily through Fiverr, and if that.
Right. So you're saying there's 2 tiers: a person who just wants to let's make some quick bucks, whatever, they can do the process as simply as you outlined it. Another way to go is to go for high end. A person would have to have a high level skill. Am I understanding that correctly? To be able to charge a lot of money and make enough money on 4 hours a week to make it valuable.
Well, it could be 8 hours, whatever it has to be. It has to be something that people really want. So, and it could be a made up skill, something that no one has ever thought of, but you're so good at it and your eyes lit up and you could talk about that topic for 50 hours in a row. Then if somebody needs help with whatever that is, they would pay you a lot of money to get that sort of information or support.
So what's an example of that?
Well, how I got to what I'm doing is through musicians, for example. Instead of doing endless weekly piano lessons week after week for the rest of your life, you master a certain technique in 3 months or 6 months, or you learn a certain level piece, or you're ready to compete in a certain competition. So that's just on a musical practical level. It could be
so you sell your services as a coach to help those people. They want it very badly. They're very motivated. This is like their livelihood, perhaps, and you're tweaking them to be better at what they already do. And that's the ability to do that is something they would pay well for.
Yeah. Well, what I do as a coach, but what I just explained is a teacher-student relationship, where a student wants to learn certain violin techniques or master certain music production skills or video production skills. They match up with a teacher who specializes in delivering high yielding results and transformative learning experiences.
So it sounds to me like you're saying that in the online service space, there's this tier up here, high paid, whatever, is teaching. Seems like you're leaning toward teaching, yes, as teaching and coaching as a way for people to, that's a service that they could offer that you're recommending. And you're saying that the demand for that is increasing as people are home.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I understand, because there are people who are, I'm hoping all you people who are listening, everyone listening, and I'm sorry, Sarit can't, usually we have a lot of comments and questions coming in, but we lost Sarit because the Instagram didn't work. So she can't give me the questions. And Jossie, I don't even know where she is with the Facebook questions. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. But the thing is that the people who are watching, I'm hoping this is making your heads like spin of like, oh, maybe this, maybe that, maybe that. And I hope the creative juices are really flowing and excited about this situation. And you're seeing these are very, very practical things we can do. And, and as she's saying, it might take trial and error. It might be you try the first thing and you get discouraged. How do people deal with their emotions with getting started? I mean, you as a coach, you're walking people through, I'm sure you're helping them with the logistic things they need to do what they need. But there's an emotional aspect of I'm not good enough, and why should they pay me for this? And there's a whole self-esteem that's on the line when you're putting yourself out there like this. So how do you coach people to not sabotage themselves and to not like be in their own way?
Yeah. And I'll take you to step one where you made your list and you saw all the awesome things that you are great at and other people think you're great at. So hopefully you could always go back to that list and say, you know what, other people think I'm good at this and they told me I'm good at this, or I think I'm so good at that. So remembering that definitely helps. Another thing that's important to remember, it's not about what would I like to do, what do I want, and then find a way for people to pay you for doing that. It's more of what is needed right now. How can I help people with what I know how to do? And then position it in a way where you're helping other people. So it's not about who wants to sign up with me to learn X, Y. It's you need somebody to fill up your children's time right now with all this excess hours. How about you sign them up for, these classes or experiences or whatever else that you can offer them, or for adults who are stuck at home and they just have all this extra time right now. Maybe they want to learn how to code. So, yeah.
So I hear, I'm not, I could use some input. I think the listeners could use some input on how to structure the offer, meaning if I am thinking, okay, everyone's got their kids home. This would be great to do a little school thing. But like, what would I do? I couldn't just like have a camera on me and I'm showing Play-Doh to my kid. I would have to have, did you try and message me? Do you have a question? Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you very much. Did you hear the question?
Yes, I heard the question. It's a great question.
Wait, I was in the middle of a question. What was the question I was in the middle of? Oh, they can't hear you. Okay, fine. I'm going to repeat it back. So, but hold on. What was I in the middle of the question?
I got distracted. Rebranding?
No. Hold on a second. Okay, well, let's go to the question came in from Facebook. How can I do a job from home when my kids are home and I need attention? They need attention constantly. So go ahead with that.
Yeah, it's a great question. And hopefully, if you have kids at home, hopefully you have another adult or older kids who can switch off with you. So one way is to include them in your offer.
I don't think they do.
Okay. So you might have to work with your night hours and do that at night or early in the morning or during nap time, really juggling that. One more thing I forgot to mention that I thought of in the middle of the night is that if you're single right now and you're living by yourself and you've been quarantined, I don't know if this is legal or not, but I'm sure there are lots of families right now that would pay you as a live-in helper with daycare, with cooking, with cleaning, I don't know, but just daycare. I'm sure a lot of families would take a live-in single young woman.
Who's been quarantined for 14 days or whatever, who doesn't have to...
local, who doesn't have to take any public transportation to get to you.
Right. The only issue with that is if the family member is compromised, if there's somebody who's going into work, then the single becomes, in other words, both families have to be airtight.
Right,
I believe. I think would need, but it's a great idea if you can find that situation. That's terrific because they could have room and board paid, although they probably have their own place anyhow. But they could. I'm sure there'd be a lot of parents who would love to do that. I remembered my question, and we'll continue on this roll. Is about the methodology. So. If you can speak a little bit about, like, so for instance, if I were going to say, oh, there are all these kids at home, I'm going to entertain them, right? The entertainment, I couldn't just have my kids play with Play-Doh and say, see, play with Play-Doh, because the kid watching or the parent watching, that doesn't help anybody. I would have to actually come up with a curriculum that, would engage the kids and would make the service be a paid for service. Otherwise, so that's a question. So the two questions on the table now. One is how to go about structuring your offer for Zoom and for FaceTime, and how to do that. And then the second question is the one that from Facebook about more ideas about when to do that and how to manage your own children meanwhile.
Yeah. So the example from Fiverr I brought in earlier, somebody offered learning or having a Hebrew interaction with their 6-year-old child. So that's an example where they're getting paid $5, but it's occupying their 6-year-old daughter and they are supervising it. So in case there are any creeps out there, your 6-year-old daughter is having a conversation in Hebrew and she's teaching an adult or a kid somewhere else how to speak Hebrew or have 45 minutes in Hebrew. Another idea could be, if you are somebody who could tell the, Shavua story or give a Pirkei Avos share and your kids are listening to you and maybe you're a teacher and you're able to put your kids in front of you and tell a story, read a book, maybe other kids would join on Zoom as well. Or if you are an exercise teacher, I forgot about that whole area. People want to exercise. The gyms are closed. Maybe they don't want to be going outside. Maybe their kids can dance or jump around as well while you're teaching that exercise class. So those are examples where you can include, or baking with your kids for Shabbos and include them. Something that you would do anyway that occupy your kids, that you can occupy other people's kids too. But again, you probably won't occupy other people's kids in 10 different age ranges all at the same time with one $5 offer. That's probably impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But you can help somebody else's 2-year-old for 25 minutes by reading them books and making them feel like they're interacting with somebody.
So you feel that so a lot of the things you're talking about are more services and more of them in the teaching field. Is that what you would sort of advise people to sort of lean towards, or are products and things also a viable? Because the thing about that is that it may not. In other words, if you set up a service, you have to be there at 12 o'clock, whether your kid has nursed yet or not. You've got an appointment. They've set it up on Appointment or Calendly or whatever. Oops, now I can't hear you. Hold on. And so they, whereas if you have a product, you fulfill it when you can. It's less time constrained. But it seems like you're leaning more towards service types of things.
Well, you can pre-record a session or experience and then have it later on.
Oh, that's
save that later. But in terms of products, people might not want your food now with coronavirus. People to produce
to deliver their food.
Deliver, right. Make food for them, deliver. So what else can you actually create? You can create whatever you can create. You need a lot of it. And then you need an infrastructure to move it around. You need to package it. And I don't see how you can set that up within 24 hours necessarily and start making money right away. I think that's a harder bridge to overcome.
It's a harder thing. Okay, so that could be somebody, if they have the bandwidth for it, they could do a quick servicing thing now to get cash in the house. Meanwhile, develop something, a product in the background. Interesting. Why would people pay a $5 for a baking lesson when they can go on YouTube and get it for free?
Excellent question. Okay, so on Fiverr, people pay more for a live experience than for a pre-recorded experience. For example, their questions could be answered right away, or they can get hands-on instruction. Somebody
and back and forth. If it's not like a video where what did they say? What am I supposed to do? It says fold the thing over. Which am I folding over? Yeah, okay.
Some people are struggling with technology, so having somebody teach you something and not be able to ask them questions in return can be very frustrating experience, and that's why people quit online courses very often, and that's why having somebody live is more of a chance to continue with it, assuming that it's engaging and it's working out.
Okay, I think we're right. Is there any other points you want to share that we didn't cover yet? And then I want to figure out a way that they can follow you so that they can, they can connect with you if they need to. Well, is there any other points we didn't cover?
Well, you need confidence. You need to believe in yourself, and you have to really positive self-talk yourself right now through this time, because if everything's crumbling down on you right now, probably now it's the time it's happening. Your kids are home. You might not have a job. So no daycare, no income, whatever other hurdles, health issues can be in your home right now. So there's really a lot to overcome, and everything's crashing down at the same time. So be kind to yourself, but be confident that God gave you a gift, God gave you a talent, and somebody out there can definitely benefit from it.
That's fantastic.
And you need the confidence to charge for it, because there's a lot of stuff out there for free.
Yeah. So that's the question you start off saying, you need confidence, you need self-confidence. How does a person get that? I mean, we talk a lot about that in the Ladies Talk Show in terms of, being there for other people is a great way to build self-esteem. But one of the things that I really, if it plays in your head that there's 8 bazillion, how many, I don't know, that how many people there are in the world, and one just needs to find you. And once you get paid that first time and that second time, there's a feeling of confidence that you can't get from any other way. So you might, before you jump off the diving board into the swimming pool, it seems like the most stupid, terrifying thing in the entire world. Once you jump off once, then you go around the pool and you go back up on the diving board and you're like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever, and then you jump. And then by the third or fourth time, you're just jumping. It becomes part of you. You become, I'm a jumper. So I think that the key here is to just get ourselves started. It starts with making that list, as Franciska was saying, and it starts with that creative juices of getting a huge number of things and then narrowing it down. And I wouldn't cross it out, because if you cross something out, it's like saying forever, I'm not doing that. Maybe take a highlighter and only highlight the ones that are the most likely, and then maybe start a new list with only the 9 things left out of the 400 or whatever, that you brainstormed all these things, then narrow it down and then have this little section and then narrow it down from there. And as you get closer and see what else is out there on Fiverr and various things, and you can Google what are some stay-at-home things one can do, you can get a lot more ideas. And then the main thing is, I think I like your idea very much of just getting started with a simple thing, with a Fiverr, without the flyer, without the design, without websites, with, a lot of, I'm going to get an 800 number. Well, let's get your first client first, so don't put the cart before the horse. Let's just get, that list is the first thing. And if you need more help with this, how can they reach you?
So the best way, my call to action is join my Facebook group, the Artpreneur Facebook community, which will link down here. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, and I have my own podcast. But surround yourself with people who are doing it, and don't get derailed on, the website or the business card or whatever that is, or on perfectionism, thinking that it has to look a certain way. Get it out there. Get your offer out as fast as you can. See what goes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Franciska, it's been fantastic to have you on the show. Really enjoy your enthusiasm. A lot of great practical advice is what everybody needs. And for those of you who are listening, who actually embark on this, we'd love to hear from you. Send me an email, Leah at Ladies Talk Show, or info at Ladies Talk Show, or go to our website, www.ladiestalkshow.com. And don't forget, everybody, subscribe, and we will look forward to seeing you next time. Franciska, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Leah.